Exes hate me, my friends all miss me. I wanna drown in rock the whiskey. Leave this small town. Oh, heading to Paris on a late night flight. Flying in good and sunlight. My few poems on the sunny back. And wanna be a child climbing tree somewhere, breathing in the fresh outside air. Before I knew this life was on. On a nice train, dog, on a couple of acres, a kind lady and a place to take you. Two good friends at the kind of and I know I'm bound to die one day, so when I reach those golden days, I pray to say I did the best I can. That's Burn, Burn, Burn by Zach Bryan. I'm in thinking, God has showed me my spirit once, like, and I was lost. I didn't understand the dream like for some years, but he showed me each of my chakras and where I was blocked at. The first chakra, it was shadows, like it was people chasing me. It was me in a room, and I was around a bunch of people, and everybody was staring at me, and some people were following me, and some people were after me. I ran to the second floor. This floor was red. The second floor was orange. Second floor, I was running, but I stopped past this. I don't know what it's called. It's kind of like an elevator. But if you go to the airport or casino, sometimes they have this track that's kind of like a treadmill, but it's long. It may be like a quarter mile or an eighth of a mile. And you stand on it, and it just pulls you forward instead of you walking. And nah, 16th of a mile. It pulls you forward while you walking. And that's what I saw. Like this whole line of women, like in the second chapter. And each one was more beautiful than the last. And I had stopped, and I was just like, I felt like Brock off of Pokemon. Every time you saw a Nurse Joy or Officer Jenny, and that's where I was stuck at in my second chapter. I get to the third chapter, and it's yellow, and I stop, and there's all these different chefs, Asian chefs, Spanish chefs, Caribbean chefs. It's all these different chefs like sitting like in a line, and they're making all these different meals from all across the world. And all I could see like was like the window, the chef's window, the little circle. And it was a bunch of steam and all the chefs in the chef's shop and all these different meals, all these different animals, all these different cuisines. And I woke up and I realized I couldn't ascend. These are the three lower chakras, which are in here, close to the heel. And I realized like the first chakra was blocked by fear. And that's fear of being seen, being perceived, being like obsessed over, being followed, being stalked, being hated, being persecuted. The second chakra, and even feeling like I don't belong somewhere, anywhere I go, feeling out of place. The second chakra, it was lust, like being led by lust, being distracted by lust, and even like going into a trance of lust, chasing an orgasm or an ejaculation, chasing tail. even chasing validation and healing and experience, fantasy, and women. And I realized that lust was blocking my second chakra and the third chakra, my confidence, what I confide in, what I eat. You are what you eat. And I remember when Jesus casted seven demons into a swan out of a man. And I understand it as each demon that blocks the chakra. The reason he was able to cast it into a swan was because the swan was already on the frequency of the seven demons. The evils, the evils, or the demons, they're all from your emotions. All of your emotions can come any color. Like if you watch the movie about the different emotions, it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't seem with Riley, and she has all these different emotions. But those are the demons. Each emotion that's negative, it reacts a certain way. Like you react a certain way when you're operating out of fear. You react a certain way when you're operating out of lust. You react a certain way when you're operating out of pride. These are evil spirits. These are the demons. These are the evils. When you let your emotions control you and consume you, rather than because your emotions are a tool, they can inspire you and they help you understand your conceptualization of life. But when you let them control you, and when they're blocked, and you begin operating out of them, you tend to have chaos in your life. And so that's what I've been understanding. On that first, your fear is false evidence of appearing real. People can, like with MK Ultra, they know what triggers your anxiety. They have your psychological profile. They have your astrological blueprint. They know they studied you. They know what things give you anxiety, what things you're afraid of, what things agitate you. And this is just aside from basic human psychology, but they study you. And so they know what makes you tick. And the second chakra is lust. Once like I conquered these false evidences appearing real, you create your own fear. And God did not give us a spirit of fear. And the second chakra is lust. If you're lusting, you reach a point to where that's all you think about. And it could lead to anything. Hypersexuality. You constantly waking up thinking about sex, going to sleep thinking about sex, having premonitions, even attracting incubus and succubus by the frequency that you're emitting to the universe. That's in your aura. Even getting involved with prostitution or promiscuity. And once this chakra is blocked, or a chakra could like be blocked, or it can be overstimulated. The colors that are in your auras are the ones that are the strongest, a blend of them, which creates your energy and your aura. So it's like a flute. Like if you hold down the A or you hold down the second chakra and the fourth chakra, you emit a frequency. And so when you block your chakras, you emit a frequency. And you want your chakras unblocked, but you don't want them overactive. And so balance is necessary. Darkness even remains in the chakra because you need your darkness because there may be a situation which inspires your fear correctly, where you have to defend yourself or defend another, and you need that side to balance it even less when it's time for you to have a sexual interaction to where you utilize your lust, you lust for your partner, but it gets out of hand if you think everybody's your enemy. It gets out of hand if you think you're constantly looking at someone and that's the first thing that comes into your mind is sex. Or you're with your partner and that's all you think about. That's all that matters to you. And so you want to balance your chakra. It's not about eliminating the darkness, but integrating the darkness. You need both for balance and for truth. You have to be honest with yourself, honest with those around you. You have to live in truth, speak truth and be truth. And so when you get to the third chakra, you get pride. What you consume is not just what you eat, but what you eat weighs heavily on your subconscious and your body. This is why during this time, like I went to Atlanta and I was learning about Lent. And now's the time where Jesus fasted. I think we're on day like I think we're on day five, the 25th. I think we're on day five. They marked my third eye with ashes, an X. And during this time, we're supposed to fast for for the resurrection of Christ or the Son during Good Friday, the beginning, the start of the real New Year. And so we're also preparing our bodies for the downloads that we're going to receive and the energy. And so during this 40 days or 40 nights, Jesus was tempted by the devil when he was in the desert. And he was tempted with all of his sins, with all of the fleshly desires. It's really your flesh that desires these things, even your carnal mind. And that's why we're supposed to fast. The body is 70% water. The earth is 70% water. And the food that we eat should be 70% water. And so when we when we eat, a lot of times in the winter, especially in the winter, we eat, sit, sleep, we get married. The sun isn't around, so there's less vitamin D within our systems. We even get depressed. And naturally, we go into this state of slumber that's similar to bears, like when they hibernate. We get less active. And so we hold on weight. The temperatures drop so we don't sweat as much and our bodies aren't as active. And so we tend to pick up weight naturally in the winter. And we eat all these grand feasts. And so you want to bring your body back into the state of alignment using fasting, where you correct that ratio of 7 to 10, the seven chakras. You want living waters. And so when you break that and it goes from 6 10 or 5 10, what you see like with the elderly or those that are out of shape, that's when you give the power of your emotions and your body and the flesh and your subconscious over your consciousness. And so you correct that during fasting. Also, you pray during fasting. When we first get out of the womb, that's the first thing we ask for comfort, is to eat. We want to latch on to the tip and eat. And so when we wake up in the morning and we deny ourselves this food, we deny ourselves from feeding the flesh, and we read the word, or we pray, we affirm, we have all these different rituals we do. to each his own. But we do this to God. And this is an offering to God because God is a spirit and we must worship him in spirit and in truth. This is us feeding the spirit and walking in the spirit as aside to feeding the flesh and walking in the flesh. And so while I was having these visions, I also had premonitions. And I'm understanding that we cannot impede on another's free will. That's one of the violations of the spiritual law. And if you include another in the premonition, or if you include another in your life, this is why the Bible talks about being equally yoked. Because you two could come together and manifest different things. You could both have different ideas about the relationship, different desires in your heart, different different intentions in your heart and in your mind. And when you come together, you begin to manifest together. And so you got a mix. If you're not in alignment, you have a mix of your manifestation. And some experiences that you align with, you both align with, you have those experiences, happy experiences, joyful experiences, blissful experiences. And when the points at which you separate, or you're not in alignment due to your values, your morals, your perceptions, your desires, your ideas, those are where you have those sad times and those times of separation and hardship and even like discourse between each other because you're mismanifesting. You'll either have those times to where one is happy and the other isn't because one's manifestations are coming in and another's manifestations aren't. And so you have to be equally yoked. But this is not just with romantic relationships, but having a spouse is closer because you literally live life together and create life together. But you can have best friends, you can have family members, and you can have the same experiences. Just because you were with that friend that day, that situation happened. Or just because you were by yourself, this situation happened. Or because you're in a relationship with so and so, this situation happened. And it could be good or bad, depending on how you perceive it and what your desires are. And so I'm understanding about alignment. Like I have a lot of visions, but I used to think my premonitions were like they just had to come true. Like whatever my premonitions were, I just used to think they just have to come true, like and it has to happen exactly how I perceived it to happen. Because sometimes they would, but I'm understanding that a premonition is simply a possibility. And the same way I've had premonitions in which I didn't want to happen, it's the same way I have premonitions where I do want to happen, that are good things, positive things. And once I had a premonition that was negative to something I just didn't want to happen, I made sure it didn't happen by separating myself. But it's kind of like that's our Raven because we don't understand that sometimes it's the very things that we do which we intend to try to stop something. But just like in SO Raven, that's what makes it happen, is you trying to stop it. And sometimes by you not being worried about it, that's how it happens. Or you hyper focusing on it, either or. We create resistance to things, and sometimes we go and flow with things. So I'm understanding like a premonition is simply a possibility of the future. And when you get a premonition, this is what you're currently aligned with. Now, you speaking on the subject about something God showed you, if it involves other people, you could potentially change that interaction from coming to pass, or you could accelerated. So I'm understanding, like, I used to take them as guidance, but now I just see them as looking at a road ahead because there's infinite possibilities within the universe. Anything can happen virtually. And so, like, a lot of times in our minds, we'll tell ourselves the world will tell us, or we'll just think based off our experiences and what we know. This will never happen. This could never happen. I could never. And that's where you begin manifesting against yourself. When you have these big dreams and you listen to somebody like say, oh, you're too old. It'll never happen. That's impossible. You're crazy. When you listen to them and that gets stored in your subconscious and now it becomes a voice in the back of your head that sounds like you. It's no longer their voice. It's your voice now saying these things because you've held on to it. And you begin to think these things for yourself. That's when your manifestation changes. These things are possible. But now you just eliminate them by thinking against it. Anything is possible, virtually. And so a lot of my premonitions, I saw things where I was like, okay, I like that. Or maybe I'd be happy with that. Or I look happy. I seem happy. And I'm understanding that there's a version of me that has these things, but it's like a path and it's like a road. Sometimes, like when you go down the road, you can miss your stop. And this is just like us going down any direction. Like you could be on the bus with people. And you could be going down this road. And you could be like, let me off like Trey and Boys in the Hood. Like, nah, let me off. If you stay too long, it's like whatever happens in that vehicle, you get on a car crash, a few miles ahead. You get in rush hour traffic a few miles ahead. You know, a deer could come out a few miles ahead. Anything can happen. But as long as you're in that hole, like as that hole in that collective, you'll keep going down that road. Now, you could be a solo driver. Either way, it's a path. Like as we go down these points of possibility, you can stay on the road too long. You can miss your stop. You can turn early before you even get to your destination. You might have to walk the rest of the way. And that's life. Sometimes we stay in situations too long. Sometimes we get out too early. Sometimes we're there to learn. Like sometimes we're just there to learn and to. Sometimes we're there to experience, to have like to learn a lesson, to accomplish something, and then it's time for us to make that turn or get out the car or change like direction and path. But we have these infinite possibilities, and a lot of times we don't understand. When I have a premonition, it's just a foresight, seeing down the road. That could be a week ahead, months ahead, years ahead. But that's what I'm currently aligned on. Now I could shift that overnight. I could shift that in a second. I could go, I could do anything that could potentially alter my future. And God knows everything, but we're on a need to know. And a lot of times we're just supposed to have faith, and you can't have faith and know that's different. That's what Gabriel told John Constantine. John Constantine. There's a difference in between knowing and believing, and and when God lets you know things, it's like that holds you He holds you accountable, and you have a certain responsibility because He doesn't let everybody know what you know, and everybody doesn't know what you know, and so it's really changed my perspective. Potentially, you know, you can really have whatever you like in life. Like whatever you got any experience, whether it be a fantasy, it could be experience. It could be you could have a fearful experience, a horrible experience. You can have a lustful experience. You can have a fearful experience where you have to conquer your fears. You can have a lustful experience where you express yourself freely and experience these joys and this bliss and this pleasure. You can have a prideful experience where where your pride is challenged and you overcome, or you lose your pride. You can have an experience to where you experience heartbreak or you experience love. A lot of times we have both experiences to balance us so we can achieve higher heights and have deeper experiences where they're more thought and we're more in alignment. Because if we don't want to have those experiences after having them, we'll correct ourselves if we learn the lesson. And then we could change the experiences in which we have. And so understanding that the premonitions are just a foresight down the road. You could choose to change lanes. You could choose to take a different exit. When you take a different exit, you're on a completely different path. When you decide to make a left or make a right here, you're on a completely different path. And you're again aligned with the new future for yourself. And these decisions we can make every day, we do make them every day to do the same thing, to wake up and do the same thing, whether it be every week, every month,